Eddie Howe and Newcastle may very well dominate Chelsea this weekend, and Graham Potter's Chelsea, of course, as well. And we're going to tell you exactly how they're going to do it. Let's just hope that Graham Potter's watching, and Chelsea fans, feel free to share this video to Graham himself. Graham, hi. Let's waste no time in discussing the man of the moment, which is young boy Miggy. Hey, Miggy. Hey, Miggy. Hey, Miggy, you're so fine. You're so fine. You're blowing our minds right now with 8 goals in 14 Premier League matches, making him the 4th top scorer in the league. So why has he transformed so much? Well, Newcastle are more of a fast and direct team than a slow and intricate team. This graph shows exactly that from the analyst. We love the analyst. Search the analyst when you get a chance. It's just really, really good. They have less passes per sequence, 3.13, but have a high direct speed of 1.57 meters per second. So they're not mucking about. They're playing the ball a little bit quicker, a little bit more direct, and playing super positively. In addition to this, they have a total of 140 high turnovers, which is the most in the league. I'll say that again. That's 140 high turnovers, which is the most in the league. I can't believe I'm saying that about Newcastle United after the last couple of years, with 22 of them ending in a shot. Incredibly effective when they win the ball as well after those high turnovers. So with that in mind, let's take a look at their average positions against Aston Villa and Brentford, where we can see that Almiron is the furthest player forward. This is really important in terms of understanding how well he's played, because I think sometimes we're looking at players and thinking, you're this, you're that. Where they are on the pitch is what matters, because that's going to create the amount of opportunities that they get. And with Almiron, you might kind of consider him a winger, but he's playing so far forward. He's playing almost as an advanced forward at times, and he becomes the perfect asset in a team aiming to get him behind. His pace is phenomenal, and his technique on the ball has really, really improved, which is why he's finishing these chances right now. And is that down to a quality that he's always had? Is that down to it being down to the training field? Or is it just down to confidence? We don't know, of course, but what we do know is that Almiron has taken 36 shots, which is the 7th most in the league, proving that he is benefiting from this style of play, from these direct attacks. However, against Chelsea, we could see the return of Allan St-Maximin, who has come off the bench in the last 2 league matches. When he was in the starting 11, the average positions looked very, very different, especially in comparison to their latest matches. St-Maximin was the furthest player forward, and Almiron then had to play that little bit deeper. So could it affect him and his ability to score goals? FBL managers, beware. So let's talk about Newcastle pressing Chelsea, because Newcastle can really take control of this match with a high press that reduces Chelsea's time on the ball. This is how Arsenal were able to force Chelsea into many misplaced passes, which we spoke about on the Fallout. Of course, go check that out if you haven't seen it. And by the way, actually, can we just stop? Are we allowed to just stop for a second? I'm trying to get myself to 250,000. The reason I want to get to that is that the bigger the channel is, the more I can invest in the channel, the more videos I can make, and hopefully the more videos you guys can enjoy. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, or you're just watching this one for the first time and you enjoy the content and think we're putting in the right amount of effort, then please do consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Thanks a lot. Oh, hit the like button as well. Go on. Chelsea had a pass accuracy in that game of 71%, which is the worst that they've had this season, as well as 84 touches in the defensive penalty area, which is the most that they've had in a game. If Newcastle can replicate that intensity, then this is where they can thrive against Chelsea and dominate them. A fantastic website by @MarkStats, go follow him on Twitter, gives us a super insightful defensive line stat. That the definition of this is defensive actions. So the average distance from their own goal in meters. Basically, how high up the pitch they defend. Newcastle averaged 46.7, which is the 3rd best in the league, with only Man City and Arsenal above them. So what I'm really getting at is that if in any way you have an idea of the old Newcastle and sitting deep and looking to counter-attack, this is not the new Newcastle. This is not the new norm, and it's something you're going to have to get used to, which everyone's generally fine about, I think. It proves that Newcastle are successfully pressing high this season, winning possession in good areas, and this is why they perform many high turnovers. So with this in mind, it seems set up for Newcastle to take control. So how do Chelsea make sure this doesn't happen? Chelsea's passing issues is a big thing here. And again, we spoke about this in the fallout, but it's about the way they set up. The simple change they need to make is to be quicker on the ball. Potter said himself that the team were not as fluid as he would like them to be, which could be down to a number of factors. Their formation is constantly changing too much, in my opinion, at this stage. Graham Potter, I feel, wants to be versatile, and I get that, but he needs to create partnerships and chemistry at this moment in time as he looks to move away and adapt from the style of Thomas Tuchel when he was at the club. Injuries are hurting Chelsea too. I think that's really important to say. Reece James out, Wesley Fofana out, and N'Golo Kante out, Ben Chilwell out. These are all players who heavily contribute to Chelsea being a better team on the ball. So that leads us to a player that is available, Zakaria. Is Zakaria worth the risk? Zakaria made his debut against Zagreb in the Champions League and performed brilliantly. And having his physicality, authority and dominance may provide a platform to battle against the physicality of the Newcastle midfield, which has been at it, to say the least, this season. Right, let's talk lineups then. Newcastle will most likely line up with a midfield of Guimaraes, Willock and Longstaff, with Joe Linton as the left winger. Joe Linton hadn't played left wing since Steve Bruce's last game as Newcastle manager, but has replaced Jacob Murphy in this position. It's a clever change by Eddie Howe. They still have a midfield three capable of being strong off the ball, but Joe Linton is still in the team with his physicality, and he can easily drop deeper as well for the side. Guimaraes has the second most progressive passes for Newcastle, 51, and the second most passes into the penalty area, 22, and so stopping him controlling the game should be the priority for Chelsea. The second option would be putting St Maximin back in the starting 11 and then putting Joe Linton back into midfield, but due to tactical reasons discussed earlier, would this hinder the form of Almiron, and is that something you want to tamper with at this moment in time when Almiron is running as hot as he is? Newcastle fans, let me know your comments down below on whether St Maximin should be in the starting 11 because we know how influential he can be, or would you start him on the bench once again? For Graham Potter, it might be time to let players be in positions they are familiar with to help fix their passing issues, which goes back to an earlier point of how do Chelsea gain more control? Well, he does this by playing with wide centre-backs, which is something that he likes to do. But a back three of recognised centre-backs could stop Newcastle countering a bit more easily. Cucurella as a natural wing-back makes sense to get him on the ball in advanced areas more often. You've got Zakaria. Zakaria is in the midfield. We had to make a big call, and that's what we're going to go for here with this preview. He needs to be in there, and he can be the destroyer that they need against a physical opposition. As for Aubameyang, he's only scored one Premier League goal under Graham Potter. Now might be the time to make changes in attack. Havertz, Sterling and Mount all average more touches per 90 in the attacking penalty area. So as a trio in attack, that might link up a little bit better. Let's talk about the potential fallout from this game. What happens if there's a victory for Newcastle? Because if Newcastle are able to dominate this game, as we've discussed, and win this match before the World Cup break, it would be a significant result in their season because you have to sit with where you are in the league table for obviously at least a month. To have that break with one loss in 15 matches could show that they're here to stay for the rest of the season, especially against a big opposition like Chelsea. For Chelsea, a good result might give Graham Potter some important answers as he attempts to figure out his preferred starting 11 over the World Cup break. A defeat for Chelsea could lead to an 8-point gap between them and the top four. Of course, the Champions League is so important for Chelsea, and going into that World Cup break, they're going to then need a pre-season, but the problem they will have is that their entire squad is probably going to be on international duty for the World Cup, so that cohesion is going to be so much harder. So in terms of the feeling in the environment of Chelsea Football Club at this moment in time, they need to finish with a victory here. Prediction time. Ooh. So let's talk predictions. I've got to go with Newcastle United here. I just think they're just in incredible form. I think they will raise their level from that game against Southampton, which they obviously won 4-1 away from home, but didn't actually play well. And I think being at home is huge here. The injuries for Chelsea makes life very difficult. You've also got a lot of players out of form at this moment in time in terms of the ones that are fit. And I just think it's going to be a little bit too much for them. And I think Newcastle go into that World Cup break in third position in the Premier League. And I think they'll win the game. And I think they'll win it 2-0. I think Chelsea are struggling at the moment to create those spaces. And also with a lot of players sort of gunning for the World Cup, ready for the World Cup, I think that will play on their mind as well in terms of players not wanting to get injured because they've seen it amongst them. N'Golo Kante, Ben Chilwell, Reece James, that will play on their mind, and I think it is playing on their mind. And I think Newcastle will get the win. So let me know what you think, guys, in the comments down below. Chelsea fans, do you think I'm talking nonsense? Let me know. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Hit the subscribe button. And, of course, let me know which World Cup games you'd like us to preview on the channel.